Hey everybody, welcome to Stumpcast. I'm Rick, joined by Ash, Jazz, and Price.
Hello.
Hello. And we are here making some gingerbread. Well, technically they're graham cracker houses.
Yeah,
but,
graham cracker houses.
Pretend gingerbread houses. And we're going to do our year-end review Stumpcast. We're making these because we raised over $20,000 during our Stumpmas event.
That's right.
And this is just one of our stretch goals. And it's incredible. So...
Yeah, you guys are incredible. You helped us do this.
I know.
It's amazing.
It's insane how charitable everybody was this year. So yeah, we're going to talk about the year in gaming. We've got some topics we'll discuss and have a good time doing that kind of stuff.
To the yes, sir.
Okay, now, big question. Has anybody ever made a gingerbread house before?
Yes.
I have not.
I have not since I was a kid.
I have never done this before.
Never?
Never.
So I guess we could start off this Stumpcast. These things are hard to break. By
They
the
are.
way.
You got to be really delicate.
Talking about what were we anticipating last year for 2017, and did it live up to our expectations?
Did it?
So did you watch? Because I did watch our last year's podcast.
I'm glad you did because I kind of forgot.
Yeah. So have you guys watched our last year's podcast? Do you know the answer to this? Because
Nope.
I can answer if
Go
you
ahead.
want me.
Yeah, please do.
The majority of us said Mass Effect Andromeda.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
But let's talk about Mass Effect, all right?
Sure.
One of the most anticipated games of 2017. I mean, just the fact that Price is the only one who played it, I think sort of speaks to how that ended up.
Well, did y'all play any of the other ones? Really?
I did. I played both. Well, I played a little bit of one. I played two several times. I love two.
Two is one of the
and
best
I played I played three one time.
Okay.
And these are a lot
And
harder than I
I'll
expected.
say that I was I didn't have it on my most anticipated list because I knew you were going to talk about it so
Right.
much that year.
Right.
But it was overwhelmingly one of my most hyped
Sure.
games that I was hyped for.
I am really happy with this.
Good job.
So, Price,
Yeah.
go ahead and talk about how hyped you were before release and talk about your expectations or talk about the hype afterwards.
Yeah. So I was very, very excited for it. Mass Effect series is one of my favorite series, period. I think Mass Effect 2 may be one of the greatest games ever made.
Agreed.
I think that
God.
I am one of the rare few, however, who does not hate Andromeda or Mass Effect 3. So for me, I played Andromeda. I really enjoyed the heck out of Andromeda. I appreciated the changes that they made. I thought that they made some bold new choices. At the end of the day, though, it was a very different game. And I think if you're going to give it a fair shake, I think it's best to, instead of comparing it to the other Mass Effect games, is compare it to the difference between the Dragon Age mainline series, Dragon Age 1 and 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition. Because Dragon Age Inquisition is a very different game. But if you play that and then you play Andromeda, it's clear that they made a lot of the same choices. Larger, bigger open world maps, a little more MMO open world feel, rather than the kind of more
It
classic.
should also
story-driven
be mentioned that it's not made by BioWare Prime.
Right,
You know,
it was,
the main BioWare developers.
Exactly.
BioWare Ontario or something? BioWare Montreal?
Montreal. Yeah, those are the new developers. They did work on like Mass Effect 3's multiplayer or something like that.
Which, again, I didn't hate the multiplayer. So, for me, Andromeda, I thought it was great for what it was supposed to be. It was a new story. It didn't have Shepard. It didn't have any of the classic characters. It was a continuation in a new direction. I hope they continue to make more. I'm sure they will, because it probably still made $1 bajillion. But most other people who aren't me did not like Andromeda.
So then I'll ask Ash now, because you said that you played it, you just didn't finish it.
I did not play Andromeda.
Oh, you didn't play it?
No, Jasmine did.
Jasmine?
Yes. I did not like it. I honestly am one of the people that just did not find enjoyment from it.
So
I think it was because, I don't know, it didn't feel like the original Mass Effect. It also visually was very unappealing.
Visually
It was very unappealing, and I don't know, there's something about the gameplay that just did not strike me as fun. Like, I actually just gave up on it. It wasn't grindy, it was just, I don't know, there was a lot of little quests, but they didn't feel like quests. It just felt like you were doing fetch quests.
There's a lot more of the... So, like, if you think back to the first Mass Effect game, there was a lot of, like, exploring a planet in the Mako
Yeah.
And so this one, it's kind of like they brought that back. Like that had been lost in the second game. It had been kind of a little bit revisited for the third game, and it's like they brought that back in full force in the in Andromeda. And I think that I totally get people not liking that. I appreciated what it added to the series, but I also think that it had too much hype because I think people wanted more of the same. And I think what they ended up getting was a
Something
very different game.
Yeah.
So do you think,
for me, it lived up to my expectations.
do you think the fact that it was a completely different story with a completely different protagonist somehow detracted from your hype for it, Jazz?
I think so. I think...
Really? You wanted Shepard again?
No, I knew it was going to be something different. I just was hoping that you could have a bit more... I feel like the original cast of characters were more relatable. This one just doesn't feel that same. I can't really describe it very well.
For me,
it has been a while since I played it, though.
I was super excited for the concept. Whole new story. It's like, is it 1,000 years later or something like that? Or no. It's
they leave like mid game of like either the second or third one, and then they take it takes them 1,000 years.
It takes them a long time to get
to Andromeda.
So are they like in cryo sleep?
Yeah, they're in.
But that's how they explain the fact that like the technology is basically the same, right? Yeah.
But they're also in a completely new galaxy. So all different.
So we've got Bryce
firmly on board.
firmly on board. Jasmine, not so much.
Nope.
And me, I have not given it a fair shake yet, but I just never dived in because the reception was not that great.
Well, and I'll say this. I think that at the end of the day, I think it's a game that if you're a hardcore Mass Effect fan, you'll probably find the good in it. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, I do think that it's not for everybody because it does have, I agree with Jesse, it does have the arc to it is very different, where the first Mass Effect games are very story driven, very linear, which it plays to their strengths. Mm-hmm. And I think the Andromeda was the opposite. It was very much like, here's a new planet, go explore, go find the stuff, go do the things, go, do it at your own pace. And so as a result, it can sometimes feel very grindy.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a little...
But overall, to put a pin on Mass Effect, because we don't need to talk about it the whole time, I really liked it.
Ash, the game that you were hyped about.
So I was hyped about Sonic Mania and Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah.
So I'll say, sadly, Toe Jam and Earl has not released this year.
Surprisingly.
But we did play it at PAX, right?
Yeah. And I'll say it's been playable the last 2 PAX now. But it was supposed to come out, I think, holiday season this year, but it was pushed, and I think it's Q1 now.
Do you know why it was pushed?
Something along the similar lines of just needing more time to polish.
Okay.
And I will say that, I don't know, I think their scope has increased since the original Kickstarter, certainly. The fact that there's now 4-person online multiplayer and stuff like that is bigger than I think what the original Kickstarter went for. Anyway, still super hyped for that, but sadly did not get to play
Since you couldn't play it, but you did play
Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but this year, I really feel like I have not had time to play a lot of the games that I really wanted to play. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sonic Mania definitely being my number one example. I'm super duper hyped for Sonic Mania, but I probably have only put 2 hours into it.
Which is unfair, because, it's a really good game.
Jasmine, you've beaten it, right?
I haven't beaten it, but I got really far in it.
You've definitely played more than me.
It's definitely really good.
So Sonic Mania, still amazing. Everything that I did get to play of it lived up to my expectations because it is, just an amazingly beautiful, lovingly recreated pixel art, return of pixel art Sonic game. But it's done in full 60 frames per second, which there really aren't that many pixel art games that move that quickly.
You all are making regular houses. I was like, I'm going weird.
Yeah, you're making a
structure. Interesting. Don't worry about me.
I'm not
eyes on your own table.
No, I'm just really, I like it. It's cool.
just
I love how you're already going for all the decorations.
I wish I had a knife. Do we have a knife?
I didn't bring one, but there's definitely some inside.
Not a knife.
Anyway, Rick, can you think of anything that you were super hyped for?
I'm trying to remember what I was hyped for last year. In our year in review podcast, I'm sure I'm going to have a clip of me actually saying it right now.
My most anticipated for 2017 is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, I'm not quite I don't even remember what I was hyped on, and I don't know what that says. And actually, spoilers for the rest of the podcast. We're going to talk about what we're hyped for next year, too. And honestly, I think making the sort of topics for the podcast this year, we all sort of just talked about how surprised we were that we weren't able to play nearly as many games as we would have liked to.
So, I mean, yeah, that's something we could talk about for a bit, because this year has been super busy for me and for all of us, I'm sure. Like, this year was consumed a lot by me for building out this entire studio.
Yeah, like from June going forward.
And
we've been working on the studio.
I really feel like I'm just now getting back to the point of, all right, I can stop stressing about this and just start just playing games again.
And I'm going to be real. That I couldn't have anticipated what game I would have been playing the most this year.
Oh, yeah.
What game have you been playing the most this year, Rick?
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
As have, I think, the three of us have played quite a bit of that.
Jazz, not a fan.
I mean, it's fun to play with games.
Yeah,
it's fun to play games with everybody.
Yeah.
I just say, like, I kind of get bored halfway through.
And I think, like,
I don't find it as appealing as you guys. And on top of that, like, whenever you guys are like, there's a dude right there, I never see him. I think I'm just not trained the way you guys have trained yourselves to see him. So I immediately either die or I just kind of follow orders until
but I
the
do
last
think
bit.
Rick's point still stands that none of us could have anticipated that this game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean, if you go back to the beginning of the year when we first started playing it, I hated the game.
yeah. So I mean, it would be ridiculous if we just didn't talk about the insane success of this game, which is now in full release.
My brother at lunch today, he was asking me, like, how can I get PlayerUnknown?
Now I can get it.
Does he have a PC or an Xbox?
He doesn't have a PC, so like forever he's been like, how can I play it? How can I play it? I was like, it just came out on Xbox. Okay.
And you can. So we were playing yesterday on stream, and we were talking about the full release because it just came out, right? It just came out.
Yep, 1.0.
1.0.
Yesterday?
And a lot of gaming journalists were doing reviews on it.
All right, so yeah, the freaking Polygon.
There's a lot of like overwhelmingly positive reviews for this game, but I mean, and it deserves praise. I think that it does a lot right, and I mean, even for an early access game, that gets a lot of flack. But Polygon gave it a 10 out of 10.
Okay,
that's insane, right?
But before we like shit all over these reviews, I think it is also important to
hand me that pack of graham crackers.
Oh, this. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it also is important to mention that this is not a full price game.
No,
this is a $30 game.
Yes,
that's true. That's true.
I mean, but so Brendan Green, the creator of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the godfather of battle royale games, said that it was feature ready. Right? That it still needed to be tweaked.
Complete. Yeah.
Right. So, but even still, do you think that in any world that this is... Why do they just keep falling apart straight out of the bag?
Be very careful. No,
that this game is without flaws. Like, that's crazy. A 10 out of 10 would be a flawless game, right?
A 10 out of 10 should be a flawless game.
That's the thing that bugs me is it's like, you can say it's not ready. Be like, it's still got some tweaking that needs to be done. And it's like, okay, cool. So maybe we'll say, let's revise our review when it's ready, feature complete, right? Or when they say we're done. But to give it a 10 ahead of time, you can't give a game a fantastic review based on what they promise will come to the game. And it's like, I don't think you can give I'm not one to tell people what they can and can't say when it comes to like how you review something. But if you're gonna give something a perfect score, then we can make a couple of like claims about like, okay, if the GIF that you shared with me of the guy getting murdered by a door being opened on him.
Yes.
But like, not only did he like get killed by the door, but it's like it opened and it made him like falling, like he was falling a distance, even though he was like right above the ground, and then like hits the ground and then immediately dies and ragdolls through a wall. It's like, is that a 10 out of 10? Well, yesterday when I switched to spectate towards you, because I had just died, and for the first 2 minutes you were swimming in air, like with the sound effects and everything. It's got some issues. You can't give it a 10 out of 10. 8 out of 10, fine. Even 9 out of 10. But like, put a caveat of
a 10 out of 10 means flawless. So
it means flawless. Right?
It does. I think for me, the biggest thing that it brings into question is other 10 out of 10s that you've given.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I said. I said I would be curious to go back and see other games that Polygon, didn't give 10 out of 10s to, and games that Polygon did like gave a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10
Like,
and
what did
say
they
like
give-
does that really stack up to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds?
So here, I'll bring up another game that I think many of us really enjoyed that came out this year. That's a AAA game, Shadow of War, which fantastic game. I think it's not perfect.
It's not perfect.
But if you were to go back and if you were to read the reviews, I would be curious to see what kind of reviews it get.
It got a lot of hate, especially because of the microtransactions.
Oh boy.
I think that's an entire topic that we should discuss.
Especially this year, it's very relevant. But for me, not even just like Polygon itself, but that particular journalist. I'm curious, what else has he reviewed?
Yeah.
What kind of games does he lean towards? That kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't want to I don't want to like focus too much on like the one person. It just seems bizarre.
I think that we could talk about this more generally, though. Like, there's a lot of trust issues right now in the gaming community, right?
Yeah. There's
a lot of distrust of developers, of publishers, and of game journalists. Like, what is going to be the result of all this? Of game journalists giving 10 out of 10s to games that clearly aren't deserving of them, in the wake of publishers, taking advantage of microtransactions and just taking advantage of the community,
Sure.
Like, is there a responsibility that game journalists have to the community to have honest reviews?
I mean, it is an interesting thing because, like, I'm sure to some degree they themselves, the journalists, look at it and they see it's the biggest game in the world. Yeah. How can we not give it? Some journalists anyway.
I wonder if they're like they're like looking forward to this will be a 10 out of 10 game in the future.
And I feel like you can't
do that though.
At the same time, I mean, for example, GTA 4, I think it was when it first came out, got a perfect 10 out of 10 from IGN, and people lost their minds. They were so upset at IGN.
Yeah.
Because
what was the issue that they had?
At the time, that game was not out on PC yet, so it was only out on, I think, PS4 and Xbox, or PS3 and Xbox 360. And the game ran super poorly, especially on PS3, if I remember correctly.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my god.
You okay, Rick?
He's got a sweet wound.
It's really
oh my god,
it's real sticky.
Well,
it's real sticky.
At the same time, if I look back at that game, I'm like, that's an extremely well done game.
Yeah.
I think, when we look, 5 years from now, when we look back at PUBG, it could be a 10 out of 10 game.
Totally.
But it is hard to make that call.
Okay, and it is hard to make the call. And do you give them extra credit because it's a lot of people, they don't want to give...
Rick, it's on your mustache.
Do I have it on my mustache? Amazing.
Icing on stash, icing on beard, icing.
Where are the paper towels?
Oh, I think... No, I don't.
You got to use your mouth.
Oh, here they are. They're right next to me.
Your paper towel's your mouth, Rick.
Just lick it off my beard. So, even though PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is like one of the biggest smash hits, it's still an indie game, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic that we discussed. Like, how can we even talk about indie games? What is an indie game these days? But, I mean, PlayerUnknown, Bluehole, they're small company, small publisher, super small developer who just got lucky, right?
Yeah.
Even though they've been hugely successful, do reviewers, should they take it easier on indie games and grade them differently than you would a AAA title?
I don't think you should take it easier. I think, let me put it this way. I don't think you should alter the way that you grade something based on AAA versus indie. Mm-hmm. But I do think that there should be a different set of criteria for new IP versus existing IP.
Okay.
I think if you make a sequel to something, it needs to be held to a higher standard. If the previous game was successful, you need to say, all right, you can't just rest on your laurels and make the same game again and get another 10 out of 10. You have to innovate, you have to do something. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I think you can knock a couple points off and say, hey, it's a fun game, but it's still just insert name of game here, So with PUBG, it's an original new title. I think it's fair to say that, like, yeah, you could go a little easier on it, but at the same time, 10 out of 10.
Like, I think IGN gave the Xbox, and granted the Xbox port has all of its own issues,
sure,
but gave it a 5 out of 10, right?
Wow.
That's insane.
Like,
I haven't played the Xbox version, so I can't comment on that entirely, but I also think that might be a bit of an extreme response. I think we all, you, me, and Ash at least probably agree that it's probably somewhere around like a 7 or an 8 out of 10.
Well, we have never played the Xbox version though.
But no. That's what I was saying. Like just like PUBG in general, it's probably somewhere around there. So if the Xbox One really does have so many crazy issues, then okay, that's fair. I mean, I don't know what else to say to that other than it's been a weird year. It's been a
weird year. So I mean, like obviously the microtransaction issues, right?
Yes,
that's
a big one.
Huge one.
We were kind of talking about that microtransactions earlier with Destiny. Mm-hmm. They recently added a winter kind of update where they're like, we have these winter skins. Obviously, you could be really cool looking in your new winter skins and do all this stuff. But the problem is that the winter skins, they're not automatically you can get these. You can get them through.
It's a really good example of like a predatory. It seems to be a very predatory.
Because like with Destiny, they have these things called engrams, and engrams are basically like their loot boxes. And you could, if you in game, you can actually break down certain items, and those items will actually, give you this thing called Bright Dust. Bright Dust you could pay to get these engrams, but you have to be grinding like a lot.
Sure.
And then there's like another way that you can get engrams as well, but that's also another grindy thing. Or you could just pay real money for this stuff.
So with Destiny, I really feel like the people that are most inclined to get some of those loot boxes are probably the people that do a lot of PvP.
Yeah.
Because I'll say that you and me, we're only, power level 210 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
We hit level 20, but I'm sure that there's way more and more grand things for us to do. But I'll say that everything we've done, I've never, ever felt the need to get a loot box.
Yeah.
And I've genuinely had fun playing the game.
Actually, that's perfect, because that segues into the broader microtransaction question, right?
Yeah.
Everybody almost universally hates microtransactions, right? But they seem like they're kind of becoming a staple, and they're not going to go away.
Yeah.
And obviously, not all microtransactions are created equally, right? So there have been a lot of arguments made that games haven't kept pace with inflation. Obviously, we've gotten used to DLCs and expansions over the years. Is microtransaction the replacement for DLC? Do we just accept microtransactions but hold developers accountable for the way that they implement them, or are we just anti microtransactions?
So for me, I'm pro microtransactions when done well. Because for me, I think we always talk about Overwatch as the great example of how to do loot boxes well. But even I don't know, even things like the newer Battlefield games or Wildlands or even Shadow of War, even if I'm diehard in the game and I'm passionate about it, I don't mind. I get that. If I only need to spend a few things to get a few bucks to get some more cosmetic items or something like that, I'm down. If the game in Shadow of War's example, if you have to spend a bunch of money to progress gameplay wise,
what are you doing?
I want it to drag.
I'm down for loot boxes and for small microtransactions and stuff like that. Usually when it's something cosmetic. If it's something that you sort of need to buy it to give you a bonus XP buff so you can grind faster towards endgame, or if you need to buy it so that you can get more items that help you out in endgame because the endgame has become a sudden grind, then to me that feels like they've built the core game badly.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, you could call them predatory microtransactions, right?
Yeah. You can make a case that there are certain examples of microtransactions where they allow people who don't have enough time to play through the standard experience of a game, but who do have a lot of money to kind of have their cake and eat it too, to enjoy the game. And I don't think that there's any problem with that, because I do know people who are like, yeah, I would want to play that game, but I don't have 60 hours to put into it. So I'm going to buy an XP boost thing, or I'm going to buy a thing that gives me a more powerful gun so I can tear through the story, get through the game, and then move on to the next game.
I mean, at that point, if you do that at one point, why are you even playing the game to begin with?
Well, but like, that's the thing.
know?
Like, I'm not going to judge someone for how they want to play.
No, I that's fine. I mean, like that's how World of Warcraft has been doing it lately. It's just like you can buy the game and immediately get boosted to end game, which is so just it kind of ruins the idea of like, here's a game where you're supposed to enjoy the progression. We have built this entire world, but what you could do is we have this this $20 pass where you can fast pass your way all the way to the end, miss out on all that content, and go straight to the rating.
Okay. So what I'm saying though is I don't think that is like that's your perspective on it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's everyone's perspective on it. Some people might think that the grinding parts of WoW are like so horrible and awful. They really just want to raid and they really just want to go to arenas or something. So if you give them the option to go there, it doesn't take it away from you, the person who wants to continue to do it the other way, but it does allow a larger audience to experience the game, which at the end of the day, I think that's like the most important thing, is making games accessible to the most amount of people.
I understand why they have fast passes, because some people make a new character and they're like, I don't want to go through the gaming aspect of it. I get that part. But like at the end of the day, like if you want to play a multiplayer game, but all you want to do is do the last bits, I feel like you're going to get kind of shunned from the community for not knowing how to play your character and just jumping, in the deep pool. Basically.
Yeah, but that's a different issue, I think, because that's more of that's talking about like toxic gaming community.
So it's interesting because that argument that you're making, and I think that it's a valid argument that people have made. It's kind of like when they remake a movie that you like, right?
Sure.
And people get really upset and they're like, how can they do this? Like, it's not the movie that I know and love.
Yeah.
It's like, but your movie still exists. It's still there, Like, if somebody is paying to bypass the grind and get to the end game, it's like, well, your grind is still there. Like, your experience is still there.
Right.
And I think that it's just people are offended at the idea that, no, I had to work for this and it's not fair that they don't have to, you know?
Would you guys mind if I tangent this conversation?
No, let's tangent.
I think this has been tangential all the way through.
Before you do that, Ash, can I just say, I love that your house actually has inner bedrooms and stairways.
Wow.
That's what I was trying to say earlier.
Ash is going full on Sims over there.
I don't think we have enough
graham crackers.
So
I have been using very few graham crackers. Yeah. So there's a couple of pieces.
I will say
I've got a bunch of pieces over here.
Yeah. Most of them are broken, so I had to work with what I did with.
Yeah. Graham crackers don't work that well.
So when oh my god, this has become so messy.
Use this one.
Tangent it, baby.
When the Battlefront drama occurred.
Yes.
Occurred.
There was obviously, without talking about Battlefront too much,
none of us have played it, so we can't really say.
Exactly. The argument, though, at that time was made, hey, developers sort of need these microtransactions because we haven't increased the default price of games past 60 in 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not in line with inflation and stuff.
Right.
So then there became two groups of people, like, just raise default game prices to 80 and make a normal game that's not filled with these microtransactions. Or, people that are okay with developers making that extra income from microtransactions. So I don't know, with you guys, if they raised the price of games to $80, what would you think about that?
I think ultimately, I think they probably should increase the default price of a AAA game to $80 or $90 or whatever. But there's a tangent, or there's a caveat on there, because the complaint that is behind this is, well, we haven't raised prices matching with inflation, right? But here's the thing: the same argument can be made for, and this is where all of a sudden political. Neither have wages. Wages have not gone up. So the people who are buying your games don't have the money to pay for your games.
Right.
So the larger issue is a much bigger economic question, which is the people who should be buying your games don't have the money that you wish that they had to buy your games, but you continue to make more and more expensive products without having a customer base that can afford that stuff at the level that you want to sell it. So I do think that the modern landscape of having multiple different types of games with multiple different price points, I think that's probably the best gaming has ever been. Because for us, not only are there games that are $60, or let's be real, almost every big AAA title comes out with an almost necessary deluxe edition with this, that, or the other that costs you $100 or $120, right? They're already playing around with the idea that this is going to be the default. But there's also like $30 games and $20 games and $10 games and $5 games.
Yeah.
And so I think that the other big issue that these big AAA developers are having to deal with is the internet has opened this world up to indie developers and smaller developers to actually get like a really good corner of the market. So they have two issues. People aren't paying higher prices.
So messy.
It really is. People aren't paying higher prices, and also people are buying cheaper games because they can.
So, okay, here's
I
something
love your
interesting.
little cactus.
Thank you.
That's incredible. Isn't that one over there? That's incredible.
That's adorable. I totally agree that there should just be tiered pricing. I mean, obviously, there are games that are worth $10, $20, $30, up to $100.
Yeah.
But I feel like people think that AAA studios need to be the most expensive because they're pumping the most money into them. But do we really even need AAA studios anymore?
So
I think at the end of
what
the
do
day,
we get from AAA studios other than really hyped games?
I think that there's a difference between a AAA studio and studios that are releasing the same franchises every year. That's my opinion anyway. The AAA studios that are making a new IP every 5 years or so, that's what I really
no indie
personally-
studio would ever have produced Horizon Zero Dawn.
Exactly.
And that is a game that I think we can all agree we are happier that the world has.
Yeah. The indie scene is what changed and kind of revitalized a lot of the older games that we love and enjoy.
genres that we love,
so
yeah.
now the genres are switching over to more 8-bit, or they're switching over to more heavy story, shorter games. And so AAAs, they're starting to pick up on that. They're still doing some of the original stuff that they are continue doing, like Assassin's Creed comes out every year. And I mean, those are just, I'm sorry to say it, but they're getting really tired and old.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, everyone thinks the new one's great.
Well, I mean, I feel like every third Assassin's Creed game is good.
Yeah.
You know?
Black Flag was good.
But I mean,
then
like,
the other two were bad.
It
and then
seems
this
like
one's good.
AAA, when people think of AAA games, they always think of like something that consistently comes out every year.
Mm-hmm.
Battlefield, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, all that other stuff. I feel like with the indie scene, more and more publishers are looking at these games that are becoming more unique and more singular story, that they're like, okay, yeah, we could you can take some bets. And so that's why I'm having a hard time this year of saying what was the best indie game, because I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
I wanted to respond to Rick saying that it shouldn't matter. For me personally, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
For the examples of Grow Home and Grow Up and the Thread game, I don't care that publishers, EA especially, that I dislike, are making those, because those still look like games that are well done. For me, it's just all about, is it well done?
Yeah. And what is well done? We were talking about sliding scales for games as far as pricing goes, right? And the argument from AAA studios as to why they need to increase the price, right, is because it's so expensive to make games. But they're putting all of these things into their games that nobody's really asking for. I think that with certain IPs like
the
GTA,
argument is that they haven't risen the price with inflation.
Well, no, I know, but I mean, you can still make a good game, and it doesn't need to cost a lot to make it. Like, as far as how many people that they have working in these games and the graphics of the game and the engines that are running the games, it might be visually impressive, but nobody's asking for all of the bells and whistles that they're putting into these games. There are certain franchises that you would expect that from. Like, it would be really weird if the next GTA just took a different direction and didn't have the same aesthetic, but indie games and small games and games that are released constantly on Steam have proven that you don't need flashy graphics to make a good game. I mean, Stardew Valley, perfect example. It's critically acclaimed. It sold at least 1 million copies. I would be surprised if it hadn't.
Sonic Mania,
another great example. So I mean, you don't need to have a studio of 250 people pushing out this like super awesome, pretty game every year and spending millions and millions of dollars doing it. You can make a affordable game that people can pay for, and you don't need to milk us with microtransactions.
I feel like those games that come out every year, I think it's more of like, it's the tried and true. We can always rely on getting a certain amount every year. It doesn't matter if it's unique or not. People go out and buy it, and it's definitely proven.
It's a stockholder thing. Like, if Activision does not release a Call of Duty every year,
the CEO will be fired.
The CEO will be fired.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's why they have three different developers working in a cycle.
Let's start segueing into another conversation.
We've talked about this enough.
What do we made? Ash?
Are we feeling done with our project?
My house is done.
I'm pretty done.
I could have used some more larger pieces.
Yeah.
I've got some over here, man. You want these?
I don't know. At this point, I've already committed to my smaller pieces, so I don't want to add too much more to it because I think it's pretty structurally unstable.
All right. Well, if we're going with this, then I'm gonna just try and put the cap on here.
Is that the cap? Oh, did you make a snowman? Is that what this is?
Sort of.
A gingerbread man?
It's a. Oh no.
No, it's not done. Not done. Don't
It's
try it.
It's Gingertron.
Gingertron? I made a
robot.
lovely Adobe or Pueblo style house.
That is a good Pueblo style house.
Yeah.
See, when you filled this whole thing with royal icing, I was like, "Oh, are you gonna put some stuff in there?" And
No,
it's like,
it's
"Oh
just
no, it's
snow.
not quite."
Snow.
Snow on the roof.
Yeah.
Snow dad.
Made a little Pueblo style.
You should make a little marshmallow snowman, Jazz.
There's not enough snow.
Do a marshmallow on top of a marshmallow, and then put one of these little red things on him, and that's his hat.
I could.
Oh, you have a little snowman.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
So do we want to?
Mine's not gonna work.
Do we want to then segue into one of the other topics?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can bring up the list if you want.
I've got my list right here. So the best new character of 2017.
You're skipping the other one.
Which one?
Best indie game.
Well, because we decided that we didn't know what indie meant.
Yeah, but I studied and I wrote a list.
Okay. Here's
I answered these questions.
Ash. What was your favorite indie game of 2017?
I Expect You to Die.
Fantastic game,
Right?
I love that game. That was a great game.
I put some other one, I put Battle Chasers, which I'm not really sure fits my category of indie game, but I Expect You to Die absolutely is an indie game through and through, and it's a VR game, and it's amazing.
It's incredible. I had a ton of fun playing it. I was glad to have someone who had beaten it before next to me. So whenever I screwed stuff up, he was like, you got to start over.
But no, I think that game alone is the best use of VR that I've ever experienced.
It's certainly the most polished VR game, I would say. Like, it is so well put together. I have an answer.
We can move on now.
No, I have an answer.
I
I have an answer.
All right.
My favorite indie game of this year,
Hit me with it.
Slime Rancher, because it finally came out in full release. Because last year I remember saying I can't call it my favorite indie game because it's not actually out yet. So next year it will probably be. So it is this year. And Slime Rancher.
I would really like to say that my favorite indie game is Subnautica under that criteria, but
It's still not out yet, or
no. I'm
It's
amazed.
still not out?
It's still not out.
Oh my god.
where?
Yeah.
All right, where's the camera that looks at these things?
Well, I think what we should do
we
is we
don't-
should clear this and push it towards.
okay,
Definitely.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right,
eyes are
so
sticky.
who wants to go first? You? All right.
I'm just putting it up there.
All right. I can't zoom in super far, but I'll zoom in as much as I can. There we go.
That's Gingertron.
Gingertron!
He is a robot
Ash, you want some of
programmed
this?
specifically for cheer. And
Okay.
so,
Which is why he has two smiles.
well, and so that's why, depending on the time of the year, he'll turn.
Also, Anna4051, thank you so much. Drop
thank you for that
y'all.
subscription.
Yay!
So then this time of year, his smile changes,
Oh,
and it's a little more festive.
What-
so cute.
What brings about that change? Is it the time of year?
The time of year.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like
It's like
seasonal.
he's dormant
Yep.
until
Yeah.
Christmas.
So that's like the dark in the light in the eyes. It's like those lights
Yes.
are turned off, and then once the cheer, it's like time to
Yeah.
cheer, and then
I'm curious
color
if
comes
we switch to that.
Well, you got to get out of there,
Oh.
Ash.
And then
All we're
if
seeing
I-
is your butt.
butt cam.
And then if I...
Are you going to really try to zoom in?
Oh, no, that won't.
That's
that
just
won't.
going to get
Point
Jasmine.
right at Jazzy's face.
All right, fine. We won't do that.
Extreme close
That's what you
up.
get for trying to get fancy.
Whoa!
That's Gingertron.
All right, who's next?
There you go.
There, I can
Jazzy's little Pueblo.
Oh no, my cactus!
I love those cactuses. They're so good.
My cactus
Yes.
fail.
These are little cactuses here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if I can
Little cactars.
tap on that. There we go.
There you go. I got a little Pueblo style house.
Yep, old
Grew up in
Adobe.
the
Yeah,
south.
there you go. Turn it. There you go.
I grew up in the south.
Southwest.
Southwest.
Southwest. Yeah,
let's
different.
specify.
It's different. Yeah.
Yes.
Southwest.
I used to, I don't really enjoy the Adobe look, but I do like the the lodge kind of.
Yeah. It's like the
Yeah.
what would you call it? It's like the beams that sticking out the
The
edge.
lodge poles.
There's like beams that go over. This
yeah.
kind of reminds me of it, but they go outside as well.
For people who don't know, maybe you've only played Scorched Earth. Adobe is a thing.
Adobe
used
is
the
a thing.
Southwest to build
Yes.
houses.
Adobe was my uncle.
A lot of stucco too.
His name was Dobie.
A lot of stucco,
Lots of stucco in
which
the Southwest.
looks like fake Adobe.
Yes.
Rick, I gotta say, I think yours is the most
His
traditional.
is the
Yeah.
most.
I went with
Gingerbread
traditional.
house. It looks
but
very good, Rick.
there we go. Thank you.
There's
There's my whoop.
meticulously constructed.
There we go.
I like it.
Under the suggestion of Price and Jazz, made a little snowman out front there.
Yeah.
Bottle caps for the front.
I didn't realize you had
and
more. On
I
the
was
front.
also trying to make a little
Can I
Santa
rotate?
here,
Yeah.
but it didn't quite turn
So
out very
Rick
well.
even has a little window.
There's a window. Yeah, this house only has one window.
Yep. You only
Yeah.
need one.
You only need one.
Just
Yeah.
the one.
Don't get greedy with windows. Come on, people.
Very well done.
Ash.
Well, show yours, and you need to bust it open so people can see the inside.
All right. Here's my
I love
best.
your windows. I look at because I can see it over there.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
have like the different color windows. I love that.
It looks like the roof is completely destroyed.
Yeah.
I just ran out of straight pieces.
No, we ran out of graham
But
crackers.
it's gonna be hard for you guys to see. I could try to lift it up.
This is bad.
This is good.
Nox Arcana's 100 bits.
It's good. Ash, just move the camera instead of the thing.
No,
Oh no,
I refuse.
Oh, no.
There's a staircase.
there's a staircase
There's a
inside.
staircase right there.
with rooms.
Look at.
Uh-oh, I hear things falling.
No, it's
I
amazing.
hear it falling.
It's amazing. It's stayed together. This guy's an architect. He knows what he's doing.
Well done. Well
Yeah.
done. Great jobs all around. So what were we talking about? Indie games of the year.
You were talking about Slime Rancher.
I said Slime Rancher, and then
Yeah.
we showed off our stuff. So Jazzy,
I could not tell if Cuphead was an indie game.
I would say, like, I know we talked about like
I think it's an
I think
indie
it's
game.
fair to say it was an indie.
Cuphead was amazing.
Yep.
I played it as much as I could straight through. Game was infuriating, but I have to say everything about it was perfect. The art style was beautiful. Honestly, the fact that they hand animated everything.
That's gorgeous.
Yes.
Amazing.
Absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous.
It was tough as nails, but I enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah.
And also Battle Chef was
I was gonna
actually
say, Battle
something
Chef-
I was looking forward to, and when I played it and finished it, I was like, I want more.
And I think that Battle Chef is inarguably an indie game. I feel like Adult Swim is a small enough studio.
I'd have to agree with Cuphead. I think that I mean, it's just amazing when you find out that
Where are those bottle caps?
everything in that game was right over here, hand drawn,
Yeah.
hand animated, and it was hard. And you know what? Screw you, internet. Everybody who's like, it's not that hard. It's one of the hardest games I've played in
I think
forever.
it
If you
took me
feel the
2 hours
need to
to
tell
beat the
people
final
that a
boss.
game that they think is hard is not hard, you're wrong.
The last boss fight against the
The
Dice
devil?
Queen?
Or the Dice King?
Yeah. Like you have to go through like the 4 fights leading up to it.
See, that one I didn't find as hard as actually fighting the devil.
Well, it was the timing with jumping on him.
Yeah.
And the cards are coming at you. Ugh. It's
No.
the worst. It was the
Also,
worst.
the Junkyard one was probably very infuriating.
They were all pretty bad,
And
but
it
it's a
says
great game.
Trinket Studios is indie. I can attest. Adult Swim is only the publisher. Yeah, and we met the guy who the lead developer at PAX. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely very.
And I
small
would
studio.
argue any game that is published or developed by Adult Swim or like Devolver or any of these small studios,
smaller.
I think that they fall in the indie category.
And that's why I feel like you got to weigh the multiple factors. How big's your team, and who's publishing you? Are you owned by that publisher? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So
That was indie game of the year.
Yeah.
we got biggest disappointment of the year, guys.
I've got a couple answers, but
Uh-huh.
I want other people to go first.
Okay.
Besides Fortnite, I also put Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Because I was hyped for that game, and then once I started playing it, I was like, I'm going to keep going because I really want to try and push through. Maybe it gets better. And then as I continue to play it, I actually just got to a point where I'm just like, I give up.
Yeah.
Nothing about this is enjoyable.
I
And it was a $60 game, which I completely regret.
Fortnite, it's got to be my disappointment of the year, just
Yeah.
because I think all of us, but I think me especially, were really hyped for this game because
Well, you
four
played
years-
such
4
a
years ago-
different build of it.
well, and the thing is, that's the thing though. I
Yeah.
didn't. I played a game that was absent all of the weird microtransactions and
Yeah.
grindy stuff because at the time that I played it, And it's worth saying, like 4 years ago, Epic, they did this tour of the country where they like rented out a location and they like decorated it all cool, and they invited certain people to come and try the game out. And I was lucky enough to go play it. And the game that I played was very representative of the final product, just minus all of the grindy ridiculousness that went along with the multiplayer aspects of it. I'm upset at that game because there was so much good to it. Like the single player experience, as far as the voice acting goes and the art style, was amazing. But then they just completely ruined it with like a half-baked multiplayer aspect to it, and just so many different menus and like skill trees and stuff that it was just too bogged down in like the minutia of it. That just made it not fun. And then the icing on the top. Releasing the Fortnite Battle Royale thing, which just seemed like a really cheap Hail Mary last-ditch effort to compete, because they knew that the game that they were releasing wasn't like up to expectations, you know?
Here's the thing. I would have found it more enjoyable if the actual tower defense worked. Because when we were trying to play it, and we kept trying to build, I was like, you know what? Rick's having a good time building his fort. I want to try to do the same thing. I had made this really nice, complicated maze for these zombies to come through. They didn't even go through the maze. They just decided to bust every single wall. Yeah. And I was like, what's the point in making a tower of defense game if you can't actually have them follow?
Yeah, we really expected more about Orcs Must Die, where you funnel them through.
What's the point even having traps? All you're going to do is shoot them
Ramsey.
At the end.
Ramsey.
I totally agree with that, because like that's the basic rule of tower defenses is you create a path that they follow, you set traps in that path that hit them while they're going through it, and it's all about how do you structure that to the most efficient and best way with your resources. And yeah, I remember the first time I built a huge long maze I was so ready for, because we all played a little solo as well as playing together, and I remember like, they ran up and they just broke open one of the walls, and I was like, oh.
Like, what's the point?
Okay.
Because the tower defense, unlike Orcs Must Die, where you spend a minute or two setting up your defenses, and then you spend like 80% of your time actually fighting the things. In this, it's flipped, where 80% of the time is gathering resources, and the last 20%
barely get to play the game.
Right.
But like, what's the point in gathering resources if you're just going to destroy it?
Exactly, and that's my point.
And
is
then,
like
what's
you
the
gather
point of traps if they're just going to like bypass them?
Yeah.
Like, it's just stupid.
Which, like, I liked the grind in that aspect. I liked searching through the town before you were ready to actually activate the thing, you know, and fighting the weird, what did they call them? They were, I want to say pods. They were husks.
Husks.
Yeah. Fighting the husks in the town was always fun. But yeah, it was anticlimactic, that last tower defense part. It was kind of the least fun part of it.
At least the fact. So Fortnite was on my list for number one for being the biggest disappointment. And yeah, the fact that it has been in development for that long, and the fact that just even the core gameplay just didn't seem fun.
I don't know why they decided to go free to play. I feel like that was the final nail in the coffin, because they could have. It wasn't too late that they could have tweaked it and made it a fun game. But the fact that they went free to play and it was just bogged down with all the microtransaction bullshit, just it killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bryce, did you have any others?
So yeah, I agree. Fortnite is probably the biggest disappointment, but because we've already belabored that one, there's another one on my list I think that I'd like to mention, which would be Ark, because it did just go full release, and that game, much like many of the other games that we talked, like PUBG, when we complain about PUBG going full release, I still think that like there's a lot about Ark that I like. I think the aberration map is cool. A lot of the stuff that they changed is cool. But as I'm playing it, I'm noticing so many of the same old bugs, the same old issues that have been there now for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm of the mindset, I think we're all of the mindset, that when you release a game, like if it's an early access game, when it reaches full release, it needs to be polished. It needs to be good. And it's like Ark is not. It is a mess. I love it, but it's a freaking mess. So I'm disappointed that they decided to spend so much time on new content instead of polishing the game that they made.
Yeah.
For me, I'd like to give one other honorable mention as well. And this, I'll just like Ark, I'll say that I like this game. I have fun playing this game, but Orcs Must Die Unchained.
Yeah.
I feel like while I have fun playing it, it's not a game that I'm motivated to continue to play because it's free to play. I wish that it wasn't free to play. I was pretty hyped for it, and I'll say that I'm just somewhat annoyed by its model of you unlock the traps via its grind method, rather than a natural story progression like it was in the previous story.
I wish that they had just continued forward the way that they did.
Absolutely.
With Orcs 2 is so good.
I will say for them, On-Chain, they salvaged it from a MOBA style game.
No, they improved it from what it was.
They basically were like, we made it a MOBA game. It's not doing well. Let's flip it. Let's take it back to its original roots. We're just going to make it as it used to be, but we'll have more free-to-play. Because it was free-to-play with the MOBA style. So.
Yeah.
No doubt that they salvaged the MOBA thing, but at the same time, I feel like, if they had just made a regular story campaign from the get-go, it would have, I'm sure, sold gangbusters compared to what they're making now.
Yeah. The argument that you just made is like the exact same argument you can make for Fortnite.
Yeah.
The Battle Royale thing is the thing that salvaged that
Yeah.
garbage.
No, it's just, I cannot
something that people
believe
like.
they just decided, like, here's our game. We've been working on it for 4 years.
Yeah.
You guys don't like it?
Trash.
Yeah.
It's now Battle Royale.
Right. Hey, we're going to cut out 90% of what made the game Fortnite. Like, people think that Fortnite Battle Royale, like, they just call it Fortnite.
They just call it Fortnite.
They don't even realize that there's a base game to that game.
Right.
A much larger game.
Much larger.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so moving on. Next up, best new character,
Oh.
2017.
I have one. Aloy.
Absolutely.
That's
Aloy.
literally... I spent so long thinking about this one, and I couldn't come up with another one besides Aloy.
Well, I don't know. Cuphead?
Cuphead?
Yeah, but I would say Aloy is very well designed. Aesthetically, she looks amazing. She has a great personality, and she's super strong. Also, the fact that they've started this whole new, IP, and they're just going with it. I think Aloy is a very strong character to say is a good character that's new in the scene.
Yeah.
You'd be hard pressed to find another more impactful character of this year. I mean, I think that I'm going to list off just a couple because it's hard for me to pick one. Aloy immediately came to mind. Minahan from Battle Chef. I think that. There was another one that I had that I thought really good.
I thought about Cuphead, but at the same time, just impactful, the type of character that has character. You know their voice, you know their emotions,
Yeah, but I look at Cuphead almost like you'd look at Sonic the Hedgehog. He has no emotion or anything like that.
I agree with that.
He's very identifiable.
Iconic.
Yeah,
It's an icon.
Because I feel like you can relate to Aloy, even though where in her situation and where she lives, there's no relationship at all, but you can understand she is your window to this world, and they did such a good job at making that.
And they did before I played it, just everything leading up to Horizon Zero Dawn sounded ridiculous. But they were actually able to put a really serious spin on this ridiculous concept, which is it's the future and there are robot dinosaurs everywhere.
Yeah.
That sounds so dumb.
I also think that the evil scientist from Empires of the Undergrowth is a fantastic character. Because you're in a little sandbox or a little ant farm, whatever like that, and there's these two scientists who are overseeing you and dropping stuff into there to care for you. And there's the woman who's she's in charge, and she's also very much be careful, don't go a little bit too overboard. And then the evil scientist guy's oh, don't worry, I won't put in more than 30 ants. And he has this that's his voice. It sounds exactly like that. And as soon as she leaves the room, she's all right, I'll leave you to it, blah, blah, blah. He's all right, let's try 90 ants. It's he always goes so far overboard. And then when she comes back into the room, he's oh, we went for 40, and I thought that was a little bit much. So I just love his, all you get from him is his voice, and he is the biggest asshole in the world. He's
got
great.
an asshole voice. Oh, I want to change my answer.
What?
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba from PUBG!
Yep. What about... Oh, God. Now I got to open my Drive app again.
How
I have
dare
them
you,
written
Rick?
here too.
Best sequel of 2017.
Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein 2.
Okay.
That game is bonkers. I didn't know there would be... I couldn't anticipate them upping it from the first game, and they totally did. The last game you went to the moon. This one you go to Venus.
Wow.
Yeah. You meet Hitler. And...
Well, I mean... you got to lead with the Hitler thing because I kind of expect that from this game. But you go to Venus?
Yeah, he lives on Venus.
Hitler lives on Venus.
Yes.
Oh, these are huge spoilers. I'm going to have to put in a spoiler tag.
Oh, also, Nick,
no,
we didn't mention Space Fetus.
Space Fetus, very important character
yes.
from 2017. Absolutely.
No, but there's still so much I'm not even saying because they're huge spoilers.
This is one of the...
That game is so bonkers.
I need
and
to play
it's a
the New
good
Order
sequel.
still. I've watched like parts of playthroughs, and everybody always sings the praises of this franchise, and I own the New Order, but I God,
What's the second one called? Juggernaut?
New Colossus?
New Colossus.
Yeah. No, but that game, it's incredibly fun. The gameplay is top notch. Like it's just for what it is. It's just like shoot Nazis and do all other stuff. It's fantastic. It's fun. The story itself is so bonkers that it's just like
it
you
sounds
can't
amazing.
Be angry at it.
Hitler living on Venus sold me. I'm gonna go home and play this game. It's amazing.
So what other sequels came out this
What about you, Ash?
So I have a few on my list that I'll mention.
Sonic Mania.
So again, I didn't play that game enough for me to, I think, fully qualify it. The ones that I'm not giving it to, but I'll quickly mention. Divinity 2.
I figured that would be on.
The only reason I'm not giving it to it is because I never played the original.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair
Otherwise, if I had played the original, if I loved it, I probably would have given it to this.
Okay.
Again, Destiny 2. I never really played the original.
Yeah, we played around with it a little bit.
But still, I like Destiny 2. The one I'm giving it to, Nidhogg 2.
Oh, yeah.
Good game.
And for so much crap that people gave about the art style of this game is better in every single way.
It took a while to get used to the new art style, but I love it. Like, I just love how just like hyper gross cute it is, you know?
Yeah.
It's,
and the music's rad. All the levels are rad.
We know the music's rad.
But I do want to quit before we stop talking about Nidhogg. The artist, Toby something, go follow him on Twitter. He's amazing. He's making a new farming simulator zombie apocalypse roguelike game.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
He's doing the art for it anyway. It looks amazing, and it's being published by Raw Fury. Go check that out.
That sounds incredible.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I can't think of too many sequels that I played.
I know mine.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Resident Evil 7.
Oh, good.
Didn't it? I thought it came out.
January.
That's right.
Yep. It came out in January, and it's funny because you said how Prey wasn't really a sequel. This was like a reboot. It felt a lot like playing the first Resident Evil, but I thought that they did such a good job making it feel unique, and it is like a new start to the franchise. I'm actually surprised they called it Resident Evil 7. I think that they should have just called it like Resident Evil and gave them like a new number or something.
Sure. Because it's very side to like the rest of the world.
I mean, it's very different. Like Umbrella really wasn't, no spoilers really, but Umbrella wasn't really like a huge part of it or anything like that.
Correct me if I'm totally wrong, but I thought there was rumors that basically like a different team had been working on this horror game.
Yes.
And then Capcom basically said, let's make that into
from what I understand, a couple years ago they had the kitchen demo, which they were showing off, before they had any details in Resident Evil 7. Like, that was my first experience with the PlayStation VR, was the kitchen demo. And that was just some other studio that had made that game. And
was it not branded as Resident Evil when you played it at PAX?
It was, but it was based off of this kitchen demo.
Oh, okay.
So the kitchen demo existed, and then Capcom said, we can make this into something.
It's like if someone took PT and said, that's going to be our new Silent Hill.
Yes.
Yeah. Which it was, I guess, but it wasn't.
They reverse engineered it.
Yeah.
But it was amazing.
I am disappointed that Silent Hill never really got made. The thing is, I do have a guilty pleasure of watching scary games, but I have to have a lot of things to keep me distracted. That game was terrifying, just the demo itself.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that they got Junji Ito to be a part of that, who does a lot of body horror, like crazy body dysmorphia,
Yeah, PT is now Death Stranding.
I was going to
say,
most of that team, including Junji Ito, I believe is still working on Death Stranding.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, that would have been a really horrifying experience. Like I don't think I could be able to even watch it.
No.
Death Stranding looks pretty horrifying.
Looks bonkers.
I
don't know if it's going to be horror.
Gonna be,
I think it's
though.
going to be more of like a
experience story.
gothic action game almost.
Yeah.
Like think more like not Dark Souls. What's the other? Bloodborne. Like Bloodborne, you wouldn't call a scary game.
No, I don't think.
But you would be horror genre.
I don't think it'll be.
I think it's going to be like Silent Hills outdoors.
I think there's going to be plenty of
Silent
creepy
Hill's always
parts.
been-
There's going to be some creepy parts.
Yeah, because to me, like I saw a mechanic with the thing, and that's how you tell that bad guys are around you. Like I think there's going to be a lot of scariness to that.
No, I guess for me, I'm thinking of like
Well, there also was that trailer with Matt Nicholson where he was actually controlling like a bunch of like
the skull
zombie.
ghosts.
Yeah.
Ghosts.
So I think it's going to be partly horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least in part.
So, do you have a favorite sequel?
I mean, I guess I could say Andromeda, but
Didn't play a whole lot of sequels this year.
I just did.
Well, you kind of did.
What?
Kind of. You played a lot of Shadow of War.
But same as what you said earlier.
Did you not play
I
Shadow of
didn't
War?
play the first one very much at all. But Shadow of War is an incredible game. I would say Shadow of War or Sims 4 Cats and Dogs.
We'll end it on that then. Okay, so next,
So Shadow of War is a very good game. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
let's do best. I'm going to skip best
Yeah,
publisher.
I
okay?
couldn't.
I think that we can talk about worst publisher. I think that may be easier. But best developer, I think.
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah.
Monomi Park, Slime Rancher.
I think you gave it to them last year.
And I'll do it again. The amount of free random content and consistent updates that you get for a game that I thought was feature complete when I bought it a year and a half ago. And like ever since I've been playing it, it was like they had a roadmap. They're like, this is what's going to go in the game. And it did way better than they expected. So they reinvested that money into the game, making it a bigger experience than they had ever planned. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Right now, every day for the next like 10 days, you can go log in, and each day in a crate that you find, there will be an ornament, and it's like specific to that day. So today I found the Boom Slime ornaments, and tomorrow it'll be something like the Rad Slime ornaments. So you got to log in every day like an advent calendar to find it all. This is all just random nonsense that they decided to add into it. They communicate all the time. They have like constant like... It's like exactly how an early access game should be carried out, and it's not even early access anymore, and they still give these free updates and all this
I have to say, with your criteria, then I agree they are really great devs, because I could not answer this one only because I don't know. I was like thinking of like stuff that stood out in terms of like what they've done or stuff like that, but like if like using the way you've answered it, I would say like Clever Endeavor is a great dev, like the guys at Bone Left, they're great dev. They also just finally released their game. Like I could say that for a bunch of them. So I couldn't answer this one because like I kept thinking, what was it that really made them great above all the others? And I could not figure it out.
I picked Clever Endeavor as my developer of the year, simply because I'd say a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago at this point, they didn't have online in the game. The game was feature complete. It was done. It was final release. And they decided to start adding online. They decided to add level customization and stuff like that. They turned what was already a core-based game that was finished into a Mario Maker that can compete with Mario Maker, in my opinion. Like, it's really well done. I think they've added very, very solid upgrades for free, which is awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna say probably Gorilla.
Yeah. Okay.
Because like I said, I just found the concept completely ridiculous, and they took a gamble on creating a new IP, a huge AAA IP, and with the most outlandish, out there concept, and they were hugely successful doing it. I just I put like 20 hours into that game,
Rick,
and
once
just hunting dinosaurs.
Once you get to the ending, you'll understand why it's on my game of the year.
Yeah. It's spoilers, Jasmine.
Spoil nothing.
She did. She just said you'll understand why it's on my game of the year.
Don't worry about it.
Spoilers.
Quit being such psychologist. Game of the year is Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
All right, so you're skipping Best Publisher?
I'm going to skip Best Publisher
are.
because, I mean...
Do you have one that you want to talk about?
I just want to give a quick shout out to Team 17.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Team 17 is great.
yeah. That's great.
Devolver.
I mean, we can list off several publishers that we all like. Yeah, Devolver, Team 17, Adult Swim. Like there's tons of them out there that we love because like they do what we feel is like the way a publisher should.
Yeah.
I can't think of one that shined for me this year, but like Team 17 for sure. They're great.
Publishers are touchy because I mean, like you can make the argument, what are they good for other than just like marketing your game? And I mean, more often than not, I think they're guilty of ruining a game rather than making it better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. Where
Sure.
I will say for me, and this is not really in anticipated game, but just anticipated for next year, both Raw Fury and Sony have so many amazing looking games on the docket for next year that I'm really hoping they all come out.
Raw Fury coming out of nowhere, man.
Right.
Like, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they pull out, and maybe they'll have an awesome party again next year at PAX.
I would love that.
Because their party was the best one in 2016.
Absolutely.
What is it?
It's supposed to, oh no, it's done. It's not.
Who is it?
It was gonna be a little Santa.
That does not look like a Santa.
Well, I know, because it was going to take multiple steps, and it didn't work out. It's fine. Don't worry about it!
I kind of see the Santa
You see
in
the
it
beard?
right now.
You see the beard?
Yeah, but from this angle, it looks like something else to me.
It's a rocket ship
It's a rocket ship.
flying over jungle
That's a
land.
diaper.
It's a rocket ship.
What else you got, Rick?
I got best co-op game of the year.
Oh, I have one, and we were talking about earlier, Divinity 2.
Okay.
Honestly, me and Ash are having the best time in that game. I have the story and the fact that you could just basically do whatever the hell you want.
Mm-hmm.
And the co-op is seamless. Like if you have a character that you have dedicated as your teammate, it sticks with you no matter what. So every single time Ash loads in, it's already there. It's preloaded for him. I don't have to worry about it. The gameplay itself, like you can listen to other people's conversations. It's very like it's built around co-op, even though you can play it single player. Also, just having Bucket Prince and all of his goodness. I don't know if you were there last Tuesday, but he got lucky.
I popped in just at that part on stream, and chat's going crazy because I had the stream muted, and I just was looking at chat, and they were like talking about not safe for work and stuff. And I was like, "What is happening? Oh my god!"
Ash got lucky.
I had a really hard time with this one because I think there was so many.
Oh my god, hold on. Best sequel. Escapist 2.
Oh,
That's the best sequel.
there you go. Yeah,
Totally forgot.
there you go.
There was a lot. Escapist 2 is on my list for co-op. I'm just going to list.
Yeah.
List all of them.
Destiny 2, Divinity 2, Stick Fight, Death Squared, Lego Marvel 2, and then a couple early access ones that I'm not really sure count. Astroneer and Deep Rock Galactic.
Okay.
But of all of those, I think I'm going to give it to Death Squared. I think it had the...
Is Death Cubed?
No,
Or is it Death Squared?
It was Death Squared.
Okay.
I think we said it should have been called
It should have been
Right,
Death Cube
that's
'cause we
right.
played as
That's
cubes.
right. Yeah.
But no, I think that one is especially... I love co-op games where we're not working against each other. We're working with each other to solve puzzles. I compared that one a bit to like Tiny Brains or something. Like just like... I really like that kind of experience of like you... I really wish the 2-player story mode was in 4-player, but other than that, I think it was just a really fun experience all around. And it had a decent amount of content for it as well. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So my answer, I just gave my answer away as well. Escapist 2.
Escapist 2.
Escapist 2 is a fantastic game. I had a ton of fun, all of us playing it. I think of all of us, I probably got the most into it. I played it a lot like off, like that you guys didn't see. But especially when it comes to like co-op, the fact that every level has specific things that you can only experience through co-op, those special co-op escapes. Like once we realized that was a thing, incredible. I had so much fun with that game.
I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say PUBG. It's the game that I've definitely played the most this year, and the game that I've definitely played the most co-op this year.
Sure.
I don't think that I'd say it's the best co-op game of the year, but it's definitely my favorite co-op game of the year.
And I'll say probably honorable mention from both Rick and I, VR Diner Duo.
Yeah, that's actually that was on my list.
Was that game even released this year?
That's why I didn't.
Yeah, but it's the
we
first
played
time.
it this year.
Yes.
Great game.
Yeah, Diner Duo was a ton of fun. And also honorable mention, Snipper Clips. Next up, we have...
Is it Game of the Year?
I kind of want to save Game of the Year for second to last. So let's rearrange this a little bit, okay? Let's talk about the biggest what the fuck moment of the year.
PUBG feature complete.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Well, the Polygon review more than anything, I think is I don't condone them releasing it 1.0. I can understand some of the arguments they might have made.
But Rick, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
I had a hard time finding gaming related what the fuck moments.
I didn't.
Really?
Oh no.
What else you got?
Death Stranding, man.
I mean, yeah.
That's
Everything to do with Death
it's pretty what
Stranding
the
is
fuck.
like a yes, and a lot of people were like, "What?" When that second trailer came out, I thought that it was a little less what the fuck than the
Agreed.
first trailer.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit more cohesive, but still everything, and just Kojima in general just seems to be getting crazier. Thing is, on Twitter, he seems like the most normal dude. He's kind of like what is it, David Lynch in that way. Like he makes weird movies, and then you kind of like see him, and you're like, oh, he's just a normal dude. I feel the same way about Kojima. He's just like the entire guy is just like, what the fuck.
Fetchy. Moment of the year. Price finishing Chrono Cross and Rip Edgar. Poor Edgar.
It was his dad, not Edgar himself. Come on, guys.
But Edgar has to live with it.
He still has his mom.
All right. My what the fuck moment of the year? The Devolver Digital Conference at E3.
Yeah, good one.
That was amazing.
I loved it.
That
It
was
got so much
incredible.
hate online. I
Yeah.
thought it was
Incredible.
hilarious.
It was amazing. And if anyone didn't say W2F to that, like, what do you consider W2F? Because people were bleeding from their eyes.
Yeah,
at
the
that
dude was
conference.
like bleeding,
Yeah.
like getting eaten up by his computer. It was
was great.
amazing.
It was so weird.
And then the rest of the conference, which I actually really appreciate, was just them just
Like
shooting
stock-
the shit on the couch, actually just playing games.
Oh yeah, like after like the
yeah,
whole like
and they're
film
just
thing.
like, yeah, we got this game. You guys want to play it? Let's play it. And they get on the couch and they're just talking and they're just enjoying the game, which I thought was amazing because that's you get more hype from like actually seeing people enjoy something than just be like, here's all our talking points. My what the fuck of the year was the Firewatch dev that pulled a copyright strike on PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big one.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were either for or against it, and it
Yeah.
was just such a.
It was a very like line in the
It
sand.
was out of like nowhere too. Like
I mean, it was in response to what PewDiePie did.
no,
but-
I know, but it was just also like no one would have thought to do that.
Like that kind of punitive action.
Right.
Because obviously there was nothing within his Let's Play that would have
Right.
necessitated a copyright strike. You know, they were just saying we don't like the kind of person you are, and so we're going to punish you. For
I
it.
mean, that's their right to do it.
It's kind of not though.
It's kind of not. And I
It was
feel-
an abuse of the copyright system. I mean, like, and my
Exactly.
thing is like, I'm okay. Like, I have no sympathy for PewDiePie in that instance. Like, I'm just like, I mean, dude, you gotta be careful with the kind of stuff that
Look,
you do.
I have no sympathy for PewDiePie
But,
for
yeah.
what he did, but the law is the law and the rules are the rules, and PewDiePie didn't break the rules in doing his Firewatch Let's Play.
Right.
The developers of Firewatch broke the rules in filing a copyright strike against him.
I'm curious what the DMCA law is, whether or not, and I imagine it could be the case that publishers just have the overarching right to say, if we don't like anyone, we will make you take a video down.
And that's the scary thing. That's the precedent you don't want set.
Right, exactly. It's setting a very
It's the same thing
Slippery
that
slope
Jim
precedent.
Sterling fought for so long
Yeah.
over the copyright. Like, we didn't like your review of the game, so we're
right
going to take it down.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Like I partially agree with them for doing it because that type of behavior from PewDiePie is just disgusting, and for him to continuously do it after, even though he knew it was bad, like that's on you for being a morally like bankrupt person. But like for the copyright thing, it's just like. It's good and it's bad, but it's like in the long run, you're just going to make things worse for other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's are you getting the most good out of your action? You're not. You're making a statement, and it's going to be a short-lived statement, but the precedent that it's going to set is going to have like echoing consequences.
It makes me wonder, like, how well is the next game going to be like received? Because they announced the new one.
It looked cool too.
It looks good. I'm just wondering.
I'm sure that there will be.
It's solid.
There will be some
Well, I
very
mean,
anti
this icing
people. It's good. Once it hardens up.
Once it hardens up, it's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Maybe that.
Price, did you already mention your
PUBG feature complete?
Yeah.
Oh, you were being serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's dumb. That game's not ready to be out.
Yeah.
I love it, but it is not done.
Yeah, but what about Ark?
I said, sure, same deal.
Okay.
But I think the Ark, we've been criticizing for years.
Yes.
Whereas I think PUBG has, gotten a pass because it's fairly new.
It has not gotten a pass.
No,
trust
but-
me.
no,
As somebody who regularly looks at the subreddit,
Right.
nobody hates PUBG more than the people on the
Sure.
PUBG subreddit.
But I think the thing
my
is, like,
God.
if I were to go to people out there who have never played Ark versus people who have never played PUBG, Ark, I think, has the reputation for being a crappy game. Whereas PUBG has a reputation for, like, online shooter, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. I don't think people in the rest of the world know that PUBG is a mess.
Yeah.
And so then I think they'll pick it up and they'll be like, this is weird. It's still a fantastic game. But when they said, like, we're going to release it at the end of this year, and, like, we're playing it, and I'm like, why are we rubber banding? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Why did that person die when a door opened on him? It's a mess.
It is a mess.
So PUBG, feature complete.
It's a feature.
WTF. It's a feature.
Yeah, speaking of setting dangerous precedents, PUBG. Okay, so we have to do this every year. Best hamburger, 2017.
Dicks.
Like, that was all of our answer last year. And
That's still my answer.
I don't mean that.
I haven't had a good hamburger since I've had Dick's.
I was going to say, I haven't had that many burgers this year, and I still think Dick's was my best burger that I had this year.
That's what I want to hear.
Yep.
You're going to get
Homemade.
a firm Dicks from me.
Homemade burger is the best burger.
Have you had many homemade burgers this year? Yeah?
Yeah.
you
I
fan-
think we eat burgers all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your style? What do you do?
I'm pretty standard. Patty and cheese, sometimes double cheese. Pickles, ketchup, lettuce.
Extra mayo?
No mayo. Mayo's gross.
Mustard?
Sometimes some jalapenos.
Ketchup?
Sometimes some other kind of crazy stuff on there. But I don't do tomatoes. I don't do mustard. I don't do mayonnaise.
Do you go
I don't-
thick patty, small patty?
Thick.
Well, you said you don't do tomatoes?
Don't do tomatoes.
My man.
Yeah.
Tomatoes ruin a burger.
Like my thing is
It
like
becomes all about the tomato.
they're so thick and they have
Yeah.
so much liquid. And
Right.
It
It becomes about the tomato. It's not about the tomato. It's about the
Depends
burger.
on how thin they're sliced.
Yeah, it's true.
they never like, and that's to be fair. Yeah.
Like I don't
But I feel
like
if you get like
really
a restaurant
thick one,
burger,
but like one that's like
To me, I don't want
that.
the tomato and all the other stuff that goes on top of the cheese has to be at least room temperature because I don't want anything on there that'll going to
Yeah.
congeal the cheese.
Yeah.
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 Or that's cold. Yeah.
And like the thing for me about the tomato, we're on tomato talk now. It's the consistency of the interior.
yes.
That
Sometimes
gooiness
you
of
get like
tomato.
a nice ripe tomato that is still firm in the middle. That's fine.
That's fine.
But like when
that
it starts
never
to get
happens.
older and it
Yeah.
starts to get jelly and it's just
Okay, so we all agree Dick's is the best burger.
Dicks.
Moving
Homemade.
on. Dick's is the best burger.
Homemade.
Okay, now we can talk about our game of the year.
I'm gonna go ahead and go first.
Okay.
Do
You
it.
guys are gonna give me crap for
Is it Slime Rancher?
Slime Rancher.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get crap too.
But
sure.
I said it last year. I'm almost positive what I said was I was like, I would love to give it to Slime Rancher, but I can't because it's not in full release, and I feel like that's a fair like line in the sand to draw. Is it needs to be out, and so now that it is out, it's one of the games I have played the most in period, but also this year because they just keep adding stuff and it's always fantastic. Slime Rancher, game of the year. It's a fantastic game. Everyone should play it, and it's a game that's non-violent, and it's great.
I mean, it can be a little violent. You seen those angry slimes that come at
Tars?
you?
Oh, the ones that like jump at you? Yeah, but you're fine. The worst thing that could happen is, you got knocked out on the range, but you found you and you put you back in your place. You're fine.
Still violent.
That's fine.
Still violent.
It's fine.
My game of the year is all about violence.
PUBG.
It's PUBG. It is. I mean,
You have to be honest with yourself.
you have to be honest with yourself. And this is the game that I definitely played the most this year. And even with all of its flaws, it's an amazing game. And I love how controversial it is, too. I have very, very vocal opinions when it comes to PlayerUnknown and Bluehole and stuff. But I love reading all of the opinions, just like seeing how divisive it is. And like I said, within the subreddit itself, like the criticisms that this game gets from people who both love and hate the game. It's just, I don't know. It's just the most interesting story, I think, of 2017. And I think the most fun game of 2017.
You want
Me?
to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
It's a good game.
So my short list: PUBG, Sonic Mania, which I really didn't play enough of, but I added it to my short list because I think it's amazing. Shadow War, which is
game.
probably like the game that I've spent the third longest amount of time with this year.
It's the best Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, it's great. And then my winner, Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a game it's not a genre that I ever played before. And it's not a genre that I was ever interested in before, but until I started playing it co-op with Jazz, like, that game is amazing because it is so large and it is so polished and bug-free. And the fact that you can talk to everyone and everyone is voice acted, and that there's so many little stories in that game, I can't imagine how long it would have taken to write everything that is in that game.
So I was playing that game briefly with Lyle, who he's played that game probably like 4 times over already. While we were playing it together, we accidentally came across a quest he has never seen before.
Yeah.
And he was dying because, 1, it was super funny. But 2, it was just like,
how could he not have
so
found
many
it?
secrets to that game. Like, you have to be very, very thorough when you go to any area because there's so many things you can miss.
Sure.
And when we came across this quest, and it's about a turtle and a rat who love each other. It's adorable. He couldn't believe that he had missed it all 4 times he's played it.
I want to know more. And I got to say, watching you guys play makes me want to play it. It looks like an amazing game. It's one of those games that I'm like, I don't have the time to get into it.
You don't, like, unless the married stream is the only, like, huge motivator. I have to keep playing it, but I have such a blast every time I do.
Yeah.
And I know that it's going to take us like 100 more married streams to actually beat the thing, because it's like a 70-hour game.
Probably.
But yeah, it's an amazing game.
Yeah.
Another honorable mention. South Park.
Oh.
The Fractured But Whole.
Yeah.
Fractured
Good game.
Butthole.
It was a good game. Not game of the year, I don't think, but it was a very good game.
Yeah.
Yep. My game of the year is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
I had a hard time figuring out which was the game of the year for me because Wolfenstein was great. So was Prey. I really enjoyed that. But Horizon Zero Dawn, I think, had more characters I emotionally connected with. The story blew me away, especially when I learned what exactly Zero Dawn is. And it's like, without spoiling it, because I don't want to spoil it for you, Rick, because you really need to play it. It is very well thought out. Everything about it is so well thought out.
Awesome.
They put in so much effort to make this world, and the world is so complete. Plus, Aloy as a character, also, good job, Ashley Birch. Like, this game has really launched her career. It's
Wait, was Ashley Birch the voice of Aloy?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
I'm surprised you didn't, because she's won so many awards for being Aloy, and it's like her first I'm not using my squeaky voice kind of role.
Yeah.
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange as well.
Yeah.
That's true.
But and just the combat and the gameplay is perfect.
Yeah.
It is so good. Like, I didn't want to finish the game for the longest time. And I think I almost 100% it. I think there's like maybe one side quest I didn't find right away, and that was like the one quest I never got back. But it's very satisfying when you do all the side quests, because you do see a return of everybody.
The world's gigantic.
Yeah,
It's
but you
so
do see a
big.
return of everything.
Yeah.
So like, if you help somebody, they will return later. So it was really nice to have that kind of closure too. So
Awesome. Well, there's only one more thing to talk about, and that is going to be our most anticipated game of 2018. This is an easy one for me because apparently it was my most anticipated game of 2017.
Was it?
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
It was. That's right.
So, yeah, it's definitely going to come out next year. It's definitely going to. I'm super excited for it. A lot of people, we talked a lot about microtransactions and the distrust that communities have for video games these days. And a lot of people are already preemptively saying, it's going to suck because GTA Online sucks and it's just going to be another.
Right.
But there's a great game with GTA 5.
That's the thing. Like, if they do it like they did GTA 5.
Yes.
Where they have a whole single-player campaign
Yes.
and a whole online thing that's completely separate.
Right.
And that's amazing.
Then I couldn't care less. Like, I don't understand people who give Rockstar endless amounts of crap because of their online and shark cards and no. It's like, this is all icing on top of the GTA 5 cake.
Yeah.
Like, the entire game was a single player experience, and then they added the online. It's all bonus.
And like
you got your money's worth. Shut up, stop complaining.
How long is that game?
It's like 50, 60 hours
so
long.
long,
It's so
yeah.
long.
Because I remember Ash beating it, and it took him fucking forever to do.
Yes.
And I did that on the PS3.
Yeah.
Like it originally came out, and then it originally came out on like the next gen consoles, and then it came out on PC. Yeah.
And that's when the online really took off. It's like when the game first released, we bought a single player GTA 5 experience, which was an amazing game. So I don't care. I don't care if they add online and then add ways of buying in-game currency. I don't care. Just make a really good single player experience, and I'm sure that they're going to.
What I like about Red Dead Redemption is it's a period game.
Yeah.
You got horses. It's all Wild West.
Well, except for the Undead Nightmare that they released, which is pretty great.
Whatever, but like
I heard it was fun.
I'm
I
saying
never played
like,
it.
it's nice that they actually
period.
have a game
It's just
that's
zombies.
like, let's take what we are really good at is making these worlds where you could do whatever the hell you want, you can go around, but let's give you horses instead of cars.
Yeah.
Save women from getting run over by trains. You know, you can do whatever you
Go
want.
find a Sam Squatch.
Yeah, Sam Squatch.
Sam Squatch.
Sam Squatch.
Sam's Queen.
There's Sam Squatch in the game.
I am looking forward to Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter
That's
World.
going to be really good. I have never really played any of the Monster Hunters. I remember we had a Wii, we tried it. We like back when it was still able to rent. I rented it. It was fun, even though I didn't understand what was going on. But I feel like now with the PC, they're opening it to a larger market. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit more accessible for new players, which I'm really happy about because it seems like a lot of games are reviving their series by making it more easier to understand and also play. Because you know, if it was only on Switch, I don't think
It's getting a delayed release on PC, though, which is a bummer.
it's a bummer. But I am looking forward to it. Too.
Yep.
What's it coming out first?
Like,
Consoles? PS4 and stuff?
PS4 is coming out on console first, and I think it's like 3 months later it's going to be coming out on PC.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of games do that
I know.
these days.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Mineko's Midnight Market is also another one I'm looking forward
Mineko's
to.
Midnight Market.
Yeah, that's
It looks
so good.
super goddamn cute.
Think
where-
of like Animal Crossing, Ooblets, that kind of. It's
yeah.
it's
but
similar
with
style.
cats.
Yeah.
All cats.
You plant cats, right?
I think you plant
You
cats.
plant cats.
And then Dad of War.
Dad of War.
Dad of War.
Dad of War is going to be,
It's going to be real fun.
I have a couple. I think Monster Prom is what I'm really looking forward to, being fully finished and released. Because I think that game's hilarious. We have a ton of fun when we play it.
The humor in that is so
The humor
on
is
point
so
to me.
good, and it's just so much like the Yogg, I really enjoy those types of games, or like the Wolf's Bite, where like
Yeah.
you have like it's just like narrative little fun times. Right?
Yeah.
It's like taking a visual novel and distilling down the like long periods of time of just like reading and reading and reading and reading, and it just distills it down to like when you make the choices in a visual novel. It's like here's a little thing. It's like a role playing game, like an actual tabletop role playing game.
You should check out Shrouded Isle. I think you'll like it.
Sure.
That's a
I'll check
weird
it out.
game. Yeah.
It's like a Cthulhu-esque version of that.
Cool. The other one I'm really looking forward to is one that I've been playing a ton, but it's in early access. Empires of the Undergrowth.
Sure.
That game is so good already. It has only like 6 maps, like actual challenges to the game. Really, it's only 4 maps plus like the overworld map. And I've already beaten that stuff like 5 times.
Yeah, probably split that shit up.
It's so good. It is so like exactly the kind of game that fits me.
He
in
has
terms of
literally been talking about it nonstop
colony-
for 2 weeks.
I thought there was only 4 levels.
There's 4 challenges that you can go to, and then there's an overworld map that like is like your main colony. That is, it kind of like transcends everything. And so like you have 2 challenges on that map as well. So it's like 5 maps total. Anyway, for those who don't know, it's a game where it's like an ant colony simulator. It's very much like a modern day sim ant, but it is better than you could possibly imagine someone making a modern day sim ant. It's gorgeous. Anyway, Empires of the Undergrowth. Love it.
So
Oh, and Cube Worlds.
Whatever the fuck that happens.
get out. There was actually
Poop outside.
Movies outside.
on the subreddit, because I'm still subscribed to the subreddit. Those people keep the hope alive, man. And there was like everyone saying, I think it might be released on Christmas, like by surprise, as Yogscast surprise Humble Bundle game on Christmas Day and whatnot. Because there was some tweets between
These people are
Littlewood
delusional.
and Wale, but Wale has not actually tweeted back. It's just, I don't understand.
It's dead.
It's dead.
It's dead.
It's a dead game. Even though
Talking like a 150 hashtag boobies.
I feel like that game is Wally's tweeting it only because he wants to. He's like, it's a game that'll never ever come out.
Dude, he's trolling. I mean, we talked
It's
about
trolling, but it's also maybe he's just like, these are things I wanted to do, but now I have time to do.
No, the
it.
last time he tweeted, when was it?
No, his comeback, his return to tweeting after years and years.
Yes.
Or like a year and a half. Was on April 1st.
Was on April 1st. Yeah. The dude has to be trolling. Not cool. Not cool, Wale.
Cool, Wale.
All
right.
We paid for that game.
So I have a few on my list.
Oh.
Stopped.
Ash has a few.
First, I'll say that my one that was most anticipated last year still is not out.
Oh, yeah, you do have to eat these, by the way.
Toe Jam.
All of them.
Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove is sadly still not out, so I'm still very much looking forward to that. It should be out, I think, Q1 2018.
Put me in your mouth.
It's amazing. We've gotten to play the last 2 packs in a row, and we got to play it multiplayer at the most recent packs, which was awesome. A Way Out looks really cool for a co-op experience. That should be out, or that will be out in 2018.
You know who made that, right?
No.
It's the people who made Brothers.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Two brothers?
Two brothers.
Yep.
Boy fights.
I don't think this game's actually going to come out in 2018, but Anthem looks really cool.
Oh yeah, Anthem.
I'm tempering my Anthem expectations because of the EA association.
So after-
you know, like I'm just like I can't. Like it looks really great, but
Yeah.
I know EA is going to find a way to fuck it up.
So after or during E3 this year, I made a list of all the games that looked exciting. There are so many games that I have not heard a single thing about for the rest of the year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like I am really frustrated by that.
The Last Night, which is the new Raw Fury game. The pixel art, it looks like Blade Runner. It's like
yeah.
Looked really cool. Yeah.
It looks really, really cool. That is expected in 2018. And lastly, the one that's for sure coming out in 2018 that I cannot wait for, Marvel Spider-Man.
Yes.
Marvel
you love
Spider-Man, exclusive to PS4, made by Insomniac. This year, I finally beat Sunset Overdrive. They are an incredible studio at making open world games where you swing around and stuff.
They made that original Spider-Man, did they not? Because it's on.
No, I
That
don't
was
think so.
Activision. It was the same people who made the Tony Hawk games.
Right. But I thought Insomniac did.
Yeah, I thought that was Insomnia.
No,
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
it's because it's that one that has
They
it's like an
originally-
eyeball that the
Exactly. That was Tony Hawk.
No,
that's not Insomniac.
that's not Insomniac.
Was it not?
No, that's Neversoft.
Ah, yes, you're right. I'm getting Neversoft and Insomniac.
Who
confused.
no longer exists, I'm pretty
Because
sure.
Insomniac is Ratchet and Clank, right? Or
Insomniac, they
They did War of the Monsters. I
Or were
remember
they
that.
Jack and Daxter?
They did Ratchet and Clank because they made that remaster of it
Okay,
recently.
so Insomniac
they
is
also did Twisted Metal Black.
I missed that game.
Yeah. And then, they did Sunset Overdrive, which was exclusive for Xbox One. And now they're doing an exclusive for PS4 with Marvel. And the game just looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot wait to dive into this world and swing around. And the combat where you're, like, using your webs to sling up and then sling down at people, just...
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It looks so fun. Really cannot wait. I think it's due summer of 2018.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we
Ash
just
getting all excited for a
Can we just
Spider-Man
get a
game.
sequel to Twisted Metal?
I've been saying this for a long
Dude,
time. What?
That game is so good.
How is there not like a more like popular new car combat IP in the age of online play? Like there totally should be a car
Because-
combat
well, I
game.
love
Because they
that
always
that
go
game-
for kart racers, right? So
Yeah.
it's whenever someone thinks of making a kart racer, because that's what Twisted Metal is at the end of the day. It is Mario Kart with with metal
It's not.
painted over
No,
it.
it was more of a.
Because there was no race
It
aspect
was more
to
of
it.
like
It's
a derby, like
yeah.
yeah.
Sure, it's the battle arena from Mario Kart.
Yeah. But
But
I'll
like
say,
it was nice because like the game actually had a story for each
Sure.
character,
It
and
was
they were
great. No, I
all
loved
extremely
it. I loved
morbid,
yeah,
but it
I
was
loved
still
all this.
fun.
but to
love
tie this
Axel.
back to
Axel, the guy who does this, and he has two giant
Yeah.
wheels.
Yes, it was so good.
to tie this back to indie games versus AAA, there's quite a few indie games that are Twisted Metal-esque. They're not that good.
No, exactly. I've actually followed the car combat genre, and
Yeah.
that's why I say I'm surprised there's not a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and people will say the closest thing you got to that is Rocket League. But if you could take like a Rocket League-esque game but make it like a car combat sort of a thing, it'd
Yeah.
be huge. How could it not be?
You know what they need to do? Rocket League needs to add a battle royal mode.
That'd be fun.
You know what?
Drop 100 cars onto a massive map.
They have their mode where you get like the weapons and stuff. You get spring fists and stuff, but you still have to play soccer.
You know, I think they ran out of all funding after buying Painted Black. Just
the Rolling Stones?
For the Rolling Stones.
So did it.
So they can no longer make another game. The game wasn't even profitable.
No, it was just like, they lost all their money getting that.
That's how the Rolling Stones got so rich. Twisted Meatballs is good, but I can't get past the third combat.
Oh. I
and then you said metal. No, don't correct yourself. Twisted Meatballs.
That's the overcooked Twisted Metal crossover.
Okay. I guess then we've got to end this.
I'm going to eat a piece of this.
I've got to eat it and die, apparently.
Rick has to eat all of it. Die happy.
I'm gonna take a huge bite of this.
All right.
Rick, I have to say, it is amazing that it still holds in one piece.
Yeah.
Send it.
Oh, that was a satisfying crunch.
That looks good. You see that bite?
That's so much
Hold
sugar.
that up to the camera there. You got a nice bite there.
Oh, somebody knocked out. Oh, somebody knocked out a load-bearing wall. No.
Very good. The royal icing's actually really tasty.
There's
all
so much
powdered
chocolate
sugar.
on there too.
Would you like a minty saguaro cactus?
Is that? Oh, there's mint.
It's like wintergreen.
Happy Twisted Meatballs, everybody.
That's right.
There he
He's
goes.
died. There's a smile on his face, though. He died happy.
He died happy.
He died
Yeah.
happy.
We knew
Yeah.
what happened.
All right, everyone. I think that's where we got to wrap up this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys had fun listening to us babble about our favorite games, our least favorite games, stuff like that. With that, I think you got to wait a whole extra year to see the next year in review. But if you guys want to see our last year's opinions or the year before that, there'll be links down in the description below. With that, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. Have a great night, everybody.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. All that stuff. See you later.
Send your bereavement apologies to Mel and all that stuff.
Send it to me. I'll make sure it gets to Mel.